I can lift my leg that far up. Yeah, there we are. Clutches.
Do you see?
Yeah, we've got it. Yeah, we've got it.
Yeah. I'm here today interviewing the CIO of one of the most traditional brands in the UK. It's called Clarke's, and they have been around for 200 years. A brand that has been around for that long has been going through many transformations. But Simon Clarke is here to talk about the digital transformation that he and his team went through in a very short period of time, not moving the deadline and always on budget, which is very impressive. That was the largest transformation of his career. He's very proud of it, and he's our award-winning CEO now, and his team is very proud as well, just like myself. You're gonna hear everything about it, and don't forget to subscribe to the show. Here's Paula Macaggi, and this is episode 43 of my show. Welcome to OFFBounds. Simon, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you here in London.
Thank you for having me.
So we have a lot to talk about. First, I want to introduce what Clarke's is. I think Clarke's is one of the most traditional shoe brands in the UK, and you're present all over the world. Not all over the world, but like in many different countries in the world. How would you describe Clarke's to our audience?
Really interesting, because you just said what most people in the UK would say, a traditional UK shoe brand, which most people know from school days when they go and get the kids' shoes. But actually, we're the largest sandal brand in the US. So UK is part of our market. And really, we are a shoe brand with multiple routes to market. So we have wholesale, direct-to-consumer, stores, you name it, we have it. And we operate directly in 6 regions globally, but I have many more partners around the world.
Amazing. And I was talking to many of my friends, my British friends, before asking like, what would you relate Clarke's with and everything? Everybody remembered Clarke's from when they went to school. It was like present all through their years of their lives. So that's very good.
Yeah, it's an amazing recall of everybody who's up to about the age of 11 or 12 that, yep, they went to Clarke's and got their school shoes. I did. I think everybody you talk to does. So it really is iconic in terms of going back to school in the UK. Everybody knows, and that's actually our peak in the UK is August, September, not Christmas. It's back to school.
Oh, wow. So bigger than holidays then.
Oh, yeah.
Back to
way
school.
Bigger.
So you're present, like you're pretty much, it's impossible to be unknown within the British community.
Yeah, I mean, we've got over 300 stores in the UK alone. We've got our e-commerce presence as well. And now they're completely merged into one offering to the customer.
Amazing. We'll get there. But first, one thing that I think is very interesting and what makes the company so traditional is that it's been around for almost 200 years. 199 and like in a few months going to be 200 years, which I'm sure they had to go through many transformations through the company's lifetime to be where they are now. But you joined the company about 3 years ago for the digital transformation. Let's start from the beginning. Where was the company when you got there?
So the company was just coming through COVID. They come out of COVID. And in the UK, it still had a big store presence, which it has today. But it was digitally enabled. It had got e-commerce. In the US, it was a very separate channel to the stores. UK was combined, so we did have omnipresence, but it was old technology. So it was very, very constrained by what it could do because of the technology. And certainly when you looked at competition or best in class, Clarke's unfortunately wasn't there, and it needed to get there to be relevant, to maintain its relevancy for the customer.
So was what people call the monolith systems that people used to have. Some people still do, some companies still do.
So the way I described that to our board was we had a Nokia 3310. You have to be a certain age to remember a Nokia 3310, but you could make a phone call on it, you could text on it, play Snake on it, but you could do what Nokia told you could do. So that was how the e-commerce platform was when I arrived. And clearly I wanted to move to something a little more akin to the iPhone, where you had the platform and we could choose which apps we had on that iPhone.
And then personalize for the company's
Exactly,
needs.
hence Composable.
That's a very good way to describe it. I've been trying to describe Composable to many people. I will just use the iPhone analogy now. Very good, thank you. So what were the first steps? Because you joined 3 years ago for a fully digital transformation. So how did you start? Like day one, what were you putting in place?
Day one for me was put myself in the shoes of a customer. Literally think about it from a customer perspective. You have to. That's what retail is all about, is how do you keep the customer happy? You've got to have the customer, and then you've got a healthy business. So really looking at our customer base, we knew that e-commerce had kind of reached the ceiling. The technology was starting to inhibit the business in terms of what it could and could not do. And our stores as well were traditional shoe stores. You'd walk in, you'd have you'd get serviced, you'd go to the counter and get cash and wrap, everything else. And that was something which has probably happened for most of the life of Clarke's. But the customer demands are changing. And we all know you have to keep up with the customer. So really what the driver for me was, let's start with the customer, make sure we've got a happy customer and happy store associate, and then we can work backwards. So start with the customer, work backwards.
So what did you get from the customer point of view that you're like, what did they need that you...
I mean, a customer service really, to me, is two things. One is I want convenience on my e-commerce platform, but also I hate the word omnichannel with a passion, because it's just commerce, and it should be right for wherever the customer is, whether it's on TikTok, whether it's in the physical store, whether it's on your own website. It needs to be right for the customer. So it's just commerce, and it's having that unified, seamless approach to the customer. So when they touch the brand, they understand it's Clarke's, and it feels the same, it looks the same, and they can transact across channels as well. So that's really, really important for me, is putting myself in that position of how do I make it easy for the customer to transact. I equally go out in stores. You learn so much. So I went out to stores before I even joined Clarke's, and it looks got some strange looks from asking questions, but I had to explain who I was, what I was going to be doing, and slowly you start to understand the challenges and the opportunities in store as well. And I try and spend time out in the stores as much as I possibly can. So I've got some secret sort of members of the team who are store managers who tell me how it really is, and that's really super helpful.
Well, that's definitely how we should be, because of you are there to serve them, to serve the customer, right?
Exactly.
But I assume you had the buy-in of the leadership already when you were brought to do this digital transformation. So I assume it wasn't that challenging to convince them what was needed.
I was lucky because the business unfortunately had to be transacted away from the family. And at that time, there was a recognition that some investment would be required into the systems. So I was lucky that there was an acknowledgement that was already known. And it was then a question of how do I prioritise that? And clearly, from a customer point of view, you start with a customer. So it's about having the conversations around what is the customer experience, what's preventing a great experience, and how can we get to that great experience? It's a good experience, but how do we make it even better?
Yeah, and you had the team already on board, or you had to bring people you already knew?
No, we literally did not have a team at all. So we had the team, which were just really about maintaining the existing store solutions. And then we had a very, very small, largely using third parties on the e-commerce platform. The two were connected, but were loosely connected. So there was nobody in place where I went, right, we've got the whole team in place. We've got the product selected, right, let's just get on with it. It really was from start of, we've got to build a team, we've got to build the products, we've got to build up exactly what we want to achieve. So we had to do that very, very quickly.
Yeah, so usually I would say a digital transformation will take, I don't know, a long time. But it's been only 3 years that you are in business, and everything has changed. What was the deadline that you fixed with your team?
So it's driven largely by the fact that the technology was old, it was hosted, so therefore we're always running with peak capacity when actually we needed to flex up and down, as to do with cloud, etc. So we had a deadline which said we had to be ready to move platforms by the following September. And we knew that was the
Which is like back to school time.
Was after back to school. So we knew we had a window between back to school and the holiday season and Cyber Monday and Black Friday. We had to move then. So we had a very small window and it wasn't movable. So from the very, very start, we had the date in mind. This is the day we had to go live.
How long was that?
So work out without counting on my fingers. About 18 months. So we started, by May, we'd got the team together, we'd got the products together, and by the following September, we'd actually put the platform live. So it was making sure we had the right components to put together. One of the key things was making sure that people had worked together before. Have you worked together? Has the technology been used together before? Okay, so we're not at a sort of the bleeding edge learning as we go along. Everybody had done it before. And therefore, we knew the technology worked together. So we got the partners to work together. We'd very carefully selected the SIs, so made sure that they'd worked together before. And it's a small world, so most people have worked together before. And therefore, we're trying to make sure we had success from the beginning. And rather than going out and saying, okay, we like this a little bit better than that one, bit risky, shall we try it? No. Let's make sure that it's tried and tested. And that's where we started.
Well, with such a tight timeline, I think you couldn't risk so much trying things around.
No, much as we would love to, but it's about building a foundation. So once we've got that foundation in place for composable commerce, you can do anything you like. You can swap out if you want to, but you can certainly build on it. So it's about building that foundation and building that foundation quite quickly. And that's across both digital, but also in our own stores as well. Because we're taking the OMS out, it kind of made us do everything at the same time. Brave, yes, but it worked. Because we had to change the OMS, it meant that Omni, as it was called in the UK, had to be changed, and it gave us an opportunity to put unified commerce into the US as well. So we took that opportunity to just improve the store estates in terms of their technology, and also the customer experience when they walked into a physical store, but also the e-commerce platform as well.
So it was like a global transformation for everywhere.
Yeah, so we did North America, including Puerto Rico, UK, and Europe.
How many stores do you have in
I think it's about 500.
Okay.
Across North America, those markets, we've got about 550 stores.
I just think it's impossible. Everything that you were telling me, because I feel every partner, I think like every technology partner, they have to be strict with their deadline too if they're working with you on this project, right? How was it like choosing the right partners, like making sure that you have the right technology, that they were on board to deliver everything on time?
Again, it's just going back to saying, okay, who do we think fits with the brand? Who's worked together before? And what technology has been proven in this space? So by making sure we got those foundations in place, we had people who understood what the brand was about, we understood people who knew what we wanted to achieve, and then had the capability of we weren't the first kids on the block. So therefore, people knew where there were some challenges and equally knew where there's some opportunities. So by leveraging all of that together, that's how we managed to get the right partners together.
And what were the metrics that you were using as KPIs as the project was developing?
I mean, I think as the project was developing, for me, it's the softer ones around customer satisfaction and employee satisfaction. Those to me are massive, because if we get customer satisfaction in anything we do, then it makes the customer like the brand more, hopefully, and come back to us more and become the first choice of destination.
I know, but like as you are developing you have to have, I don't know, like...
So this is one of the success factors, I think it was we said no worse than today. So we didn't set out, I've seen projects before, transformation projects before, where they start out and saying, we want to achieve really aspirational goals. This is what the whole point is. It's a transformation. Nobody really validates whether those are A, needed, and B, realistic. So we're very clear that we knew the technology we had formed that sort of ceiling. We couldn't go any further. So all we wanted to do was invert that ceiling to become the floor. And that was the start of the next journey. So we're very clear, and it's a joint decision with the business. We'll be no worse than we were today. And that's what we started off with. That was our North Star, which we just religiously went back to time and time again and said, that's what it's going to be. That's what we've all signed up to. We're not changing. If there's something that comes along the way, better payment methods or something else, then then absolutely we'll do it.
This is now something you can do.
Yeah. But we were clear that we're not going to go out and say, right, we're going to do massive improvements or different functionality or anything else, because experience shows that's when you get problems. So let's get the foundations right, then we can quickly build on those foundations. So for me, the metrics were no worse than today. It's really, really easy one to have, really simple. And I think, again, people get sidetracked by having too many metrics. Is it this? Is it that? How do we measure it? Is it the same as before or afterwards? It's quite complicated. If it's something really simple that everybody can sign up to, it goes, it's no worse than today, then it's really clear and everybody knows what that means.
I agree with you. But I assume, I don't know, now that the foundation is set, like what is something that the company can do that wasn't possible before? We can
do all sorts of things now, because like I said, the technology we had limited us in terms of some of the payment types we were able to take, some of the customer interaction in terms of the deliveries. We're limited by the technology. It was operational. It worked, but was it meeting all the customer requirements? No, it wasn't.
It wasn't there to save the company for the next 50 years.
Yeah, we weren't we were serving the customer as opposed to wowing the customer. And I think now we've got the ability, because of Composable, we can take it down whichever avenue we want to and provide that real sort of special service to the customer and making sure that it's the same experience, whether it's in-store or online. So
and you also, I assume you don't have to rely on one provider for one thing. As you were attached, before we were attached to a company for 10 decades, let's say, and now you can switch if you have a better opportunity or a better solution.
Well, that's exactly sort of the iPhone analogy. Is you can choose whether you have Google Maps, Apple Maps, or whichever maps you want, and it's exactly the same with Composable. What elements do you want? You want to take vendor A, vendor B, or actually if vendor C comes up, or as we all know, the customer demands are ever changing. There might be something completely new. We can plug that in. We're not subject to waiting for a vendor's roadmap. We can start putting that in from day one.
Have you worked in other transformations before?
Yep, I've been involved in other transformations. This one was probably the biggest, and it's certainly the one which we needed to get right on time.
On time and on budget?
On time, on budget, absolutely.
Yeah, and what have you learned in this most challenging transformation of your career?
I think for me, it's by having that North Star and being absolutely religious that we all sign up to it and we work as one team. So it's not technology, the business, it's the whole sort of organisation has one goal, one very clear goal which you can articulate even before the lift door closes. You don't need an elevator pitch while the doors are closing. It's no worse than tomorrow. It is today. And actually that's built as the foundation to go forward. So for me, it's been that really clear message which says what we're going to deliver, everybody understanding that, and then everybody actually signing up and owning that. So we didn't really have people coming and going, yeah, but we've seen this great technology over here. Can we put that on at the same time? Can we do this? We didn't have that. We had people really clear that we know what we're going to get, and if there's some benefits along the way, we'll take those as well. So that meant that the whole team came together, whether it's the technology team, the trading teams, everybody, or content teams, everybody came together and knew exactly what was expected.
That sounds like excellent leadership where you got everybody committed. It's hard to get everybody on board and really work religiously for the same goal.
But it's also having a good team. It's not one person, it's a whole team. The whole team coming together and actually understanding the elements they play and how the interactions are with other members of the team and the dependencies. And therefore, how do you make sure that when there's cross-dependencies, people are clear, they're calling them out, and actually you've got that commitment to say, okay, we'll be pragmatic. What we're going to do, how we're going to solve this, we'll find a way to do it. And it's through the team that actually solved the problems or took the challenges head on and made sure that we delivered on time.
Amazing. So you were all committed, not only the internal team, but all the vendors as well that were working with you. How many are we talking about? How many companies? I'm not saying companies.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head now.
10, 30, 100.
In terms of, obviously we had all the vendors of the products. And then on top of that, we had our partners who helped us implement. So trying to think off the top of my head, we had 4 or 5 people helping us on the bringing all the products together. Again, it was about orchestration. So I don't want to take credit for that. It's the team who did that again. We had some great plate spinners who kept everything going at the same time and making sure that things didn't crash to the floor. So by doing that, it was clear, open communications. Sometimes, like all relationships, get strained, but we got there in the end.
And I remember I've been pitching you to come here on OFFBounds for a while. But I remember I met Mariel at Mac 3 in New York, which was in June. And I saw that Clark's won 2 prizes. I think was the best retail change project. And the other one was best project. So congratulations.
Yeah, we're really pleased to get the retail one, but absolutely amazed to get the best overall project. I mean, and that again, is just reflection of the team. It's no particular individuals. It's a complete team effort to get that across the line.
Yeah, that's something that everybody's going to carry for the rest of their lives in their careers, that they worked in such a big, important project.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what would you say it is needed for a CIO to go through a transformation like that? Like what takes from the leader?
It's a great question and one I'm trying to think about how to answer. To me, I think it's making sure we've got a team in place which works together, and that's an internal team, external team, that you create the right environment for that team to work, and also how you message that to other parts of the organisation. We're all part of the same organisation, and it's really, really important that we're quite clear on what project's going to achieve and the transformation is going to achieve. So it really was about making sure, I think from my point of view, was providing that environment where the team could succeed, but equally being able to communicate to other people about what was going to be delivered and what was not going to be delivered. Equally important.
I think it's very easy to say, we have to have the right team in place, but it's so hard to put the right team in place. What would be the skills that you're looking for in the right team to lead this transformation?
For me, I don't look at skill sets. I mean, people's CVs tell me what they've achieved, and Mariel great at picking out the skill sets we need. To me, it's about how we bring people together in terms of working together, the dynamics of the team working together. How can 1 + 1 = 3 or 4 even? How do we do that? How do we make some greater than individual parts? That to me is the magic. And if you can achieve that, then we've got a great team who succeed. If we don't have that, then quite often it causes friction, causes problems. So it's about bringing people together who really do complement each other. And it's about through diversity, it's through different experiences, and bringing all of that together. That to me is the most important. So when I interview people, I'm not particularly looking at their hard skills. The CV tells me what they've done, and there are far more technical people out there who will tell me, yes, they understand what we're talking about. It's how do they fit into the team? What can they bring to the team, which really does make it a better, more higher performing team.
That piece is going to go very well with those pieces we have and things
Yeah,
like
exactly. And those pieces go well together and they add another dimension to it. So that's what I'm always looking at in the team is how do we get diversity? So I've learned more diversity in the team, actually it really helps. How do we get that diversity, that difference of thinking as well?
You mean diversity in terms of thoughts or cultures?
Everything, because it gives people a different perspective. I'm neurodiverse, I'm dyslexic, So I don't write a lot. I talk a lot. You should probably tell. But it's about bringing those different elements together. And then people have different perspectives, and you don't come up with necessarily the same answer. You come up with different answers, which is how you solve problems. If everybody came up with the same answer, we probably wouldn't move too far. But by having different views, different perspectives, it really does help us solve problems. So
you
to
see
me,
a lot of people like hiring more of the same, and then like they don't realize they're not going anywhere different, right?
you
Like
just get the same answers,
Yeah.
and don't go anywhere different at all. You get the same answers, same results, and then you wonder why you've got the same results because you just hired some very smart people like you. That's probably why. So you've got to make sure you increase that diversity and that thought process, because it's that little spark, and then somebody else will pick up on it and it will grow, and then you get a great idea. And it's how you foster that, and that to me is the most important thing.
I think technology has changed so much the speed it changes, right? Like from when you started your career to where we are now, where we have like a new solution, a new consumer behavior, something different that is happening every 3 months or so. Why would you say it's a good skill to have as someone that is starting now? Like if you could go to the college again now, what would you pick?
Probably two things. One is understand who your customer is and just be absolutely passionate about making sure you meet or exceed the need of that customer, because that's how you build a successful business. So you've got to put the customer at the heart of everything you do. So when you get told the economics and all sorts of different things you get taught, put that to one side. We should have a degree in customer centricity, because that's what is at the heart of everything. So you've got to be absolutely focused on the customer. I think that's number one. And number two is have confidence in yourself. Like I said earlier, I was dyslexic. Age of 12, I was told I'll achieve nothing. Sat here today, I think I've achieved something, and I just would like to passionately get anybody who's neurodivergent or anything else to believe in themselves, because you can do it.
So your life advice to someone that is starting now and wants to become a successful technologist would be believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself, absolutely.
One of the things, do you have more to add?
No, I think it is believe in yourself and, like I say, focus on the customer. The technology, as you say, is moving so quickly. You used to say it's almost like dog years in technology, but actually I think it's even quicker now. So therefore, there's no point learning a technology, but actually, how does it improve somebody? How does it improve somebody's life or experience? That's key. And learning that is the most important thing. The other bits will follow. And the technologies will change and come and go. But if you're absolutely focused on how do you make sure that you are satisfying the customer, you're making them happy, boy, it's a big job. And there's so many different things you can come into it, but it helps you evaluate, is it a good idea? Is it an idea which you might need to leave for a little while? But it just helps you build that through a really clear focus of what you're trying to achieve through your role.
And I think like technology is something that enables a lot of these assumptions that, not assumptions, but discoveries that you do about the customer, right? Like, oh, this is what the customer wants. What can we enable so the customer can get there? I think technology is really interesting because of that. I couldn't do it, but I'm very proud of everybody that decides to do it.
I think it is. I think technology does that. Particularly around data now gives you insights into customer behavior, what customers really count as really important. So I think having technology at the table is really, really important, because it gives you that insight. It allows you to do things slightly differently. But again, it comes back to building that strong brand, whatever that brand may be.
So Clark's now has the technology that is going to help the brand for the next 200 years.
I'd hope so.
Well, they'll probably have other technologies to evolve by then.
Yeah, and Clarke, and I think it's really interesting because Clark's has evolved over the 200 years. It's evolved from being the Quaker-founded business, and the products have evolved over time, just as technology will. So the technology will just get woven into the fabric of the brand and will become part of delighting the customer.
Can you show the camera your shoes? your Clarke shoes?
Yeah.
Can you put it on the table?
Oh, I don't know if I can lift my leg that far up. But yeah, there we are. Clutches.
Do you see?
Yeah, we've got it. Yeah, we've got it.
Yeah. Got it. Simon, thank you so much for sharing the story of the transformation. I'm very proud of you and the team. Say congratulations to everyone. God knows what is going to be the next transformation, but I'm very excited and proud of everybody's work.
Thank you. And it's definitely a team effort. So thank you.
Yeah.